Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock. They're powerful, alright. We cover them all on your favorite part. So many movies we can choose. Even when you win, you lose. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other. Peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades. Movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun. Action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions three. Come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast.
It is the 30-something movie podcast, and we are back for another one of our 10th anniversary rewatches. And excited to be here for this one. This is, if you haven't been following, this is our 10th anniversary for the podcast. And so what we're doing each month is we're going back to something that we have watched before over the course of the 10 years. And each of us kind of voted on movies that we'd like to revisit. And either it's a movie that we talked about many years ago and we just wanted to see if we had a different take on it later, or it might have been, in the case of this one, Bo had selected this one because Bo was not able to be with us when we were recording this one a couple of years ago. So, and anytime that we get a chance to talk about the 1993 Disney Three Musketeers, I am all in. So this was an easy one to add to the list and say, yes, please, have some. So
Fun movies.
Fun
It's
movies.
just it's nice to talk about fun movies.
Yes.
And I just
Is this the palate cleanser from the episode that came out a few days ago?
well, that's the thing is some of our viewers might be like, well, that's an odd statement, but it's like, and I've come like 10 years. I've exhibited a lot of growth mindset in terms of opening my eyes for, hey, not every movie needs to be swashbuckling adventure fun,
It doesn't hurt.
but it sure doesn't hurt. And it's nice to return to that when you're faced with something that was challenging on several levels.
Yeah. Well, so as we know, there is a motto that this trio lives by, and I think it's appropriate for us to start off with that motto. Wherever there is injustice, you will find us. Wherever there is suffering, we'll be there. Wherever liberty is threatened, you will find. No, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one.
I was going to say, John, what are we doing here? Hang on now.
Wrong trilogy. All for One. No. Yes. All for One and One for All. There we go.
Indeed.
I got it. It took a couple tries, but I think I just wanted to go back and watch the Three Amigos too.
That would be a good one as well.
We could have just done a series of episodes of movies that contain the number 3. We could have done.
Yes.
We could have done Three Amigos. We could have done Three Musketeers. We could have done
It would have been like that. It would have been like that episode of The Next Generation.
Three
Remember
Billboards. Yes.
When the threes kept popping up.
One of my absolute favorite episodes of Next Generation of all time.
What a great episode that was.
One of my favorite episodes of The Next Generation of all time. One of my favorite
Was so
episodes
cool.
of The Next Generation of all time.
I was just going to let him go.
I was too. It was an outstanding bit of business.
And then we'll just end it with Captain Kelsey Grammer.
I was just going to say, and then Frasier shows up.
Yeah.
But don't you
And
got to get
he's
the little,
listening.
Yes. Hello,
you
Starfleet.
gotta-
I'm listening.
you got to get the whispers happening, right? The whispers in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. That was a creepy episode too. Yeah.
That was so good.
I love
just
that
on
episode.
so many levels.
Yeah. That was almost as creepy as the what was the one where they're eating Counselor Troy because she's a cellular peptide cake or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The ones where they were getting abducted was fun too.
Yeah.
Commander Riker is not aboard the Enterprise. The payoff of that one, though, that was great was like remember when they took him to the room and they were all talking about like on the holodeck? No, the chair had a light,
Oh yeah.
and there was
yeah.
a clicking sound, and then there was a claw, and you're like, oh my god, this is freaking me out. This is scary. And then it was just like, dude, your arm has been severed and reattached, and they're finding all this stuff. So what they do is they give him this juice that they juice him up so that he doesn't go to sleep fully, and they arm him. And then he shows up and he's like in his nightmare world. He just starts blasting dudes. Like, that is awesome. That is fantastic, man. I'll tell you, when that came out, I forget how old I was. 15-year-old Pat, 14-year-old Pat was just like, yeah, get him.
More of this.
Yeah, that was fun because that episode had everything, right? I mean, it was scary, it was freaky, and then it was just like, all right, we're going down. It's going down.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in hearing, because it was only 2 short years ago that we did this one on the podcast. So if you're interested in hearing our original review of this one, head on back to episode 472 of the pod, and that's when you'll be able to catch that one. But yeah, so let's go ahead and dive right on into this one because I love this movie, and this is a fun one to talk about. November 12th, 1993, when this one came out. It was rated PG. Runtime of 1 hour, 45 minutes. Directed by Stephen Herrick, who did Mr. Holland's Opus, which we actually just covered a few weeks ago, as well as Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Writer for this one was David Lowery, who did Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, and Dreamscape. Producer was Roger Birnbaum, who did Rush Hour and The Magnificent Seven, the 2016 version, and Joe Roth, who did Alice in Wonderland, the 2010, and Maleficent. Composer was Michael Kamen, who did Die Hard and Band of Brothers, the TV series. Cinematographer was Dean Semler, who did Dances with Wolves and Mad Max 2, Electric Boogaloo. Editor was John F. Link, who did Die Hard and Commando, one of Pat's favorite movies that he saw for the first time on this podcast. I will never forget that one. That was probably one of my favorite Pat React things to a movie.
That was so great. That was one of my favorite memories of the pod too. Oh my God, they make movies like this? How have I not seen this? This is incredible.
Well, it was almost like we were on the pod and we had picked this movie to be on the list, and the rest of us are all sitting there and be like, Pat, you really got to watch this movie. And it wasn't this way, but the way that your reaction was, you were so excited, it almost sounded like an excited version of Tommy Boy, where you come on the pod and you're like, dude, guys, have you seen this movie Commando? Like, yeah, Pat, that's the one we're recording this week. No, but seriously, dude, do you remember that time, that Commando? And that was cool. That was awesome. Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, that's the movie we're talking about this time around. But dude, did you this Commando?
And we were all together too. And then I think there was a section where we put it up there and we had like a watch along and react.
I think so. I think at one point, I think we were maybe recording and you were just like, can you just put it on the screen?
Just put it on the screen.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah.
I mean,
we'll do our own commentary. That's fine.
Yeah. That was awesome.
And then this is done by Walt Disney Pictures and Caravan Pictures. An estimated budget of $30 million. Box office was $53.9 million. And it got an A- with a Flickmetrics score of 53, which seems low.
It really does.
Yeah. It does seem low. Well, there's no accounting for taste. Charlie Sheen played Aramis. He was in Platoon and Wall Street. Kiefer Sutherland was Athos. He was in Stand By Me and 24. Chris O'Donnell was D'Artagnan, who was in Batman Forever and Scent of a Woman. Hoo-ah. Oliver Platt was Porthos, not to be confused with Admiral Archer's Beagle. He was in Flatliners and Frost Nixon. Tim Curry was Cardinal Richelieu. He was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Clue. Rebecca De Mornay. I'm sorry, that's De Mornay.
De Mornay.
De Mornay.
De Mornay.
Thank you. She played Milady de Winter. She was Risky Business and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Gabrielle Anwar played Queen Anne. Michael Wincott played Rochefort, which I think isn't that a smelly kind of cheese?
It's a very smelly cheese.
Yes. Paul McGann played Gerard. Julie Delpy played Constance, and Hugh O'Connor played Louis the 13th. Kiefer Sutherland, Chris O'Donnell, and Oliver Platt underwent 6 weeks of fencing and riding lessons to prepare for these roles. Charlie Sheen missed his training due to commitments with another movie. Sure. Yeah. Brendan Fraser was first choice to be cast in the role of D'Artagnan, and Brad Pitt and Stephen Dorff had also turned down the role, which ultimately ended up going to Chris O'Donnell. The original or some alternate castings for Milady de Winter were Winona Ryder. And she, I guess, originally was cast, but then ended up having to drop out for one reason or another. And then around this time, as tends to happen in Hollywood, in 1992, Walt Disney, Columbia Pictures, and TriStar Pictures were all simultaneously developing their own separate adaptations of the Three Musketeers. Disney's version is the one that proceeded, while Columbia's adaptation was canceled because of some kind of legal dispute. Disney originally planned to shoot the movie in Paris, but chose Vienna after the local government offered them a $2 million incentive, which, you know, if you can get $2 million incentive, take it. Filming locations did include Charleston, Cornwall, UK, and various sites in Austria and Vienna. Originally, Synergy Pictures, that was the film's initial production studio, dropped it because there were disagreements over the casting choices, and then Caravan Pictures ultimately produced the film under the Disney banner. And then the cinematographer, last one I've got here, is Dean Semler, cinematographer for the movie, had done other pretty recognizable movies such as Dances with Wolves. So you have a lot of high-powered you've got star actors in this one, and you've got a lot of people behind the camera as well that are well known for their craft. Quick synopsis. In a France on the brink of chaos, young D'Artagnan, in a France, that sounded a little strange, but we'll go with it. In a France on the brink of chaos, young D'Artagnan aspires to become a musketeer. He first clashes with, but then allies with, the legendary Three Musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, to foil the treacherous Cardinal Richelieu's plot. Amid intrigue and danger, they must protect the king and the future of France.
You're under arrest.
5 of them, 3 of us. Hardly seems fair.
Maybe we should give him a chance to surrender.
Excuse me, but there's 4 of us.
Athos, Porthos, and Aramis.
Hello.
Nice to meet you again.
Pleasure.
Now, we're prepared to resist you.
Walt Disney Pictures presents the story of the greatest heroes who ever lived.
Long live the Musketeers!
It was a time when danger was irresistible.
Did I miss anyone?
King's life is in danger. We have work to do.
1,000 gold pieces on each of their heads, dead or alive.
I prefer...
Kill him!
dead.
Adventure was everywhere.
I hope we're not interrupting. Kill those musketeers. Champagne? We're in the middle of a chase, Porthos.
And friendship
You're right. Something red.
was the greatest weapon of all.
All for one. More for me.
Charlie Sheen,
We must pray for our sins. Second thought, God's often busy.
Kiefer Sutherland,
Save the king!
Chris O'Donnell,
On a mission for the king.
I've heard that before.
Oliver Platt,
That's it. Next time you drive.
Tim Curry,
Snap of my fingers, and you could be back on the block where I found you.
and Rebecca De Mornay.
And with a flick of my wrist, I could change your religion.
The Three Musketeers.
Because who doesn't, in the background of your Disney Three Musketeers trailer, who doesn't love a little James Horner Willow?
I was just gonna say I was getting different vibes from that one.
Yeah. Oh, immediately, every time I hear that trailer, I want to say, even as a kid, I feel like when I heard that trailer, I was like, that's the music from Willow.
You are great.
You are great. Willow. Out of the way, Peck. I should have put that movie on our list for our 10th anniversary rewatch, because I want to rewatch that.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, especially with Val Kilmer having passed. I'm going to rewatch that sometime soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a rewatch of Tombstone and Willow and maybe a few other things here in not too long. All right. Very quickly, the major moments for this one. It is 1625, and a young D'Artagnan travels to Paris to fulfill his dream of becoming a musketeer like his late father, pursued by Gerard and his vengeful brothers. Meanwhile, Cardinal Richelieu disbands the musketeers under the guise of national defense, leading only Athos, Porthos, and Aramis in defiance. Shortly after arriving, D'Artagnan unknowingly challenges each of the three musketeers to duels. At the rendezvous, they reveal their identities but are interrupted by the Cardinal's guards, whom they fight together, forging a new alliance. Though victorious, D'Artagnan is captured by Rochefort's forces. While imprisoned, he overhears Richelieu's plot with the mysterious Milady de Winter to deliver a secret treaty to England that would betray the French crown. The Musketeers rescue D'Artagnan from execution, and he informs them of the Cardinal's conspiracy. They resolve to intercept Milady in Calais to recover the treaty and expose Richelieu. En route to Calais, there's a lot of French in that opening. En route to Calais, D'Artagnan learns of Athos's tragique past with Milady. I'm just going to start doing everything in a French accent.
Mm-hmm.
D'Artagnan reaches Calais ahead of the others, only to fall into Milady's seductive trap. Problem is, if you do it too much, then you start to sound like Jim Carrey from The Mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He reveals his mission before realizing she is the enemy. Milady tries to kill D'Artagnan, but spares him at the last moment. As she attempts to flee with the treaty, the Musketeers ambush her ship. Athos reveals that she is his ex-wife, a branded criminal. She is sentenced to death, but confesses Richelieu's full plan before leaping to her death. The Musketeers return to Paris and rally their comrades. At King Louis's birthday celebration, D'Artagnan foils a sniper's attempt on the king's life. Richelieu tries to shift blame onto the Musketeers, triggering a massive brawl. Richelieu captures the king and queen, shooting Aramis, who survives, thanks to a hidden crucifix. D'Artagnan duels Rochefort, who reveals he murdered D'Artagnan's father. With help from Constance, D'Artagnan reclaims his sword and kills Rochefort. The Musketeers pursue Richelieu through the underground tunnels. Aramis, disguised as the boatman, subdues the guards. As Richelieu attempts to flee, King Louis delivers a surprise punch, sending the cardinal into the river. The king reinstates the Musketeers and grants D'Artagnan a commission. When Gerard and his brothers show up for revenge, they are chased off by the full force of the Musketeer division, united under the motto, all for one and one for all. And now it is time for Deep Thoughts.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot. Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have called it Pensée Profonde.
Huh?
Ah oui. Pensée Profonde. Deep Thoughts. First time you saw this movie, and do you like it? Maybe a silly question, because I think we like it. But at the very least, do you remember the first time you saw this one?
I don't know if I can say remember. It was one of those, as soon as it came out, I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I saw it in the theater, but, browsing the new release aisle of Blockbuster, it certainly would have been a top hit at the time. Charlie Sheen we were fans.
Mm-hmm.
How could you go wrong with him and Kiefer Sutherland in the same movie?
Right.
Had never heard of this Chris O'Donnell guy at that point,
Mm-hmm.
but that turned out all right.
He's a good kid.
Is hysterical, so there you go.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Pat, do you remember the first time you saw it?
I don't. I really don't. And I want to say it might have been the first time I saw it all the way through was for this podcast.
Okay.
But maybe I've seen the movie, but again, I don't know why. Because this, like I said, this hits all the feels for me. This is my ideal of a movie, right? Like, I love it. The adventure, the action, the whole thing.
Fencing, fighting, true love.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Romance.
Cardinal Richelieu. Yeah. Rochefort. Oh man, you could butcher all kinds of names in this one.
Oh yes.
I have a good friend in Rome.
Wait, that's the second time today that's come up.
That's 2 today. That's pretty good.
Uh-huh. Wait, yeah. Do you find it visible when I say? Yeah, for me, I think it was probably about the same story as Bo. Like, I would imagine, I don't recall exactly, but knowing the kind of movies my dad liked and the kind of movies, if he saw that there was an action movie, Three Musketeers, rated PG, that he could take his kids to, I could just about guarantee we probably saw this in the theater. Yeah, and I think this is just the type of movie that we would have gone to see as a family. So I will assume, I remember seeing the previews on TV. I remember that trailer pretty vividly. And so I would imagine that even if we didn't see it in the theater, just like you, Bo, it was probably like very soon after we probably rented it or whatever the case may be. And if it's 93, I'd almost say it's possible we might have seen this over in England because we were still living there at the time. And depending on when it was released, I'm trying to remember about when we would have come back. So it's possible we either caught this just as we were coming back to the States, or we caught this on the tail end of when we were living over in England. So, but like I said, I'm pretty certain that we would have seen this in the theater when it came out. Basically any Three Musketeers story, Pat, like you said, if there's swashbuckling, sword fighting, adventure involved, I'm pretty much on board. And this one, I think the benefit of this one being a combination of those type of stories and a little bit of Disney makes it so that it is still that kind of action adventure, but it's family friendly enough that pretty much everybody in the family can see it.
Yeah.
And it has that really, really good balance. I feel like this is a precursor to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yep.
Because it's got that really good balance of pretty much the whole family can see this. And it's funny, and there may be some parts a little scary, parts that may be a little violent, but not so scary or violent that you can't handle this if you're, let's say, between 8 and 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this is like one of the, it just kind of pulls together, just like that original Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I think it just pulls together the comedy piece of it. That's in the same way that pretty much Johnny Depp carries that entire movie. You have this entire cast carrying this movie because there's plenty of ways in which Chris O'Donnell, can be comedic. Even Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen Oliver Platt is hilarious in this.
Remind me to send the Cardinal a note.
Yes. You could basically just start quoting this whole thing. And that scene that shows up in the trailer, I always thought was kind of funny. Champagne? We're in the middle of a chase, Porthos. You're right. Something red. and then just a little bit later on, isn't he like pulling something out? He's like, for a chase, the Cardinal recommends his excellent 24 Cabernet.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't have any. You're too young.
Which then leads to, oh gosh, I've got it playing over here, and it leads to that scene where he says, the wine was wonderful, and then he says, remind me to send the Cardinal a note. Let me see if I can get back to it really quick.
The picnic was delicious. The champagne was excellent. Remind me to send the Cardinal a note.
Cardinal a note. Yeah, Oliver Platt kills me in this movie. Later, he's got the line. They say, where were you? Killing something ugly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
That's it. Next time you drive.
Yeah.
All right. The one scene, only a fool would try to arrest us twice in one day. You're under arrest. A fool.
You get it right from the beginning with the brother who's fighting D'Artagnan and that high-pitched voice, D'Artagnan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Starts right there, and then
D'Artagnan.
All of a sudden he's got 3 duels back to back, and they're all with musketeers, and he doesn't know it yet. And oh god,
yeah,
too good.
Well, and it's just I always hope, having not necessarily seen a ton of behind the scenes stuff for this movie, I really, really hope that they had a lot of fun making it because it looks like they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the camaraderie between
some horrible movie to make.
Exactly. If so, they're great actors. But the camaraderie between the 4, main heroes in this movie is such that you just hope that they had a great time making this movie and a great time just playing off of each other, and because it looks like they did. Like the ways in which especially Athos, Porthos, and Aramis all just kind of play off each other. Either that's really good acting, really good writing, or it's all of those, and they just had really, really good chemistry with each other.
True.
Because I feel like this, it hits all the right beats in the action, in the comedy, and it's just such a fun movie to watch. I feel like this is one of those, if you need a bit of a palate cleanser, and Pat needs a bit of a palate cleanser after our last one.
Yes.
This is the kind of movie you watch to get over having watched something you didn't want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a favorite scene in this one?
Wow.
I almost want to say any scene Tim Curry is in.
Yeah, he's just so good.
Yeah. He's such a he plays, I mean, he can be very charming and he can be very charismatic, but and I think because of that, he plays such a good villain.
Yeah, he's really good.
This movie, and not just because of the soundtrack and whatever, but this movie and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves always sort of live in the same space for me. And I always try to think, like, I've often wondered, like, who's the better mustache twirling villain, you know, the sheriff of Nottingham or Rochefort? Or Tim Curry versus, like, and that's the other thing, like, Tim Curry elevates way past.
Yeah.
And they both have the same sidekick.
Right.
Yes.
Right? Guy of Gisborne was Rochefort.
Yep.
Wasn't that? Yeah.
Yep.
Great character actor. Every time you need a gravelly voice, sinister person, cast that guy, you know?
Also, in one of my other favorite kind of swashbuckling type movies, he was like the warden of the Chateau d'If in Count of Monte Cristo.
Yes.
So yes, basically and the villain in The Crow, and I mean, put him in any kind of situation where you need a good gravelly voiced, just nasty villain, and Michael Wincott's going to take care of that for you.
That's right.
What else was he in recently? We used a couple of years ago. We had been watching Westworld.
Oh,
the newer Westworld series from HBO,
yes.
And he had been in a couple episodes of that one too. Yeah,
I've always
anytime
seen
you give him the
character.
opportunity,
I would love to see him being interviewed or out of character.
Yeah, I feel like his voice is not that different, even when he's just
right
normal. Oh, I forgot he was in Alien Resurrection too. Yeah,
the wenching scene's pretty good.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That is
weak comical clown.
Yes. A lively tune. I'm inspired to dance. Yeah.
We're talking about the similarities between this and the other movie, you know, the Bryan Adams inspired soundtracks.
Yeah.
Another good song here.
That's kind of like, that was a running theme in like the mid-90s.
Yeah, that man got a lot of movie work.
Was you kind of had to have if you were a mid-90s, you know, big blockbuster movie, you kind of had to have a Bryan Adams, and maybe Rod Stewart's going to show up a little bit in there, and
Sting might show up.
Maybe
that style of music. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
The mid-90s movie song supergroup.
Right? And you're right, because every movie had one. Like, it was part of and they got us so used to that by the late 90s into the 2000s, you would hear a song in the trailer and you would assume that song was going to be in the movie. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, no.
It was just to get you to show up.
Right.
They might use that song for the credits. Might.
Yeah.
And I always speculated, I've never looked into it, but I've always speculated that it was because to use it in the movie was more expensive. When it rolls over the credits, it's cheaper.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and I just want to talk for another minute about how amazing Tim Curry is as just an actor in and of itself, but as a villain, he's just such a fun villain. And he's just, I mean, he can come across as being so charming, but he's also so just sleazy when he needs to be, and just absolutely he can turn on a dime between charming and absolutely evil.
Oh yeah, he'll smile at you when his henchmen are stabbing you in the back.
Right.
I was such a pious man of God in this movie too.
Yeah. what was I was watching something the other day. Oh, I think I was just doom scrolling through TikTok or something, and for some reason somehow something had gotten into my algorithm so that a bunch of videos I was seeing were clips from the movie Legend from 1985.
Oh wow.
And it was with Tim Curry as Lord Darkness or Lord of Darkness or whatever his full name was in that one. He's just so good. Like the combination of that voice and just his, I don't know, his the theatrical quality to him.
Yeah, he is just like Indiana Jones said, he was good. He was very, very good.
And this movie is just, it's chock full of celebrities. Like this is one of those like super group movies that you have all the guys. And at that point in time, I don't feel like Oliver Platt was probably as well known as the other guys
I
were.
think your heavy hitters here would have been Kiefer, Tim Curry, and Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Oliver Platt had done some stuff, but I don't think he was as recognized as he would become.
Yeah, Rebecca De
Certainly
Mornay.
Chris O'Donnell was a baby in this movie for crying out loud.
Rebecca De Mornay had been in a few things.
De Mornay.
I'm going to do it every time.
Her name was out there. But she was almost on the other side of that peak for her when this came out.
Yeah.
And I think, Three Musketeers was, at the time anyway, it was one of those older stories that was due for a reboot. And I think this brought this story back into popular culture. Like, I don't know that it, some things never really go away. I feel like this one had sort of faded into obscurity a little bit, and it was due for a redo in '93. Because I'd have to, easy enough to find out when the last remake before '93 was. Because this is, let's be honest, this story's been done a few times.
I feel like there was
73.
Was there Return of the Musketeers? I think was late 80s. And that was actually it was a Richard Lester movie. And it had Michael York and Oliver Reed in it.
Oh wow. Yeah, 89. How about it? I missed that. I've never seen that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Christopher Lee plays Rochefort in that one.
Nice. You want to talk about a guy who's seen some stuff.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Christopher Lee. Okay. I just want to say something.
Say it.
Christopher Lee, he is Count Dooku, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So total smash cut, but I know we were talking, and this is spoilers, you know how we were talking about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? And how that was that old, the origins of the British, MI6 and all that kind of stuff. And one of the guys involved in it was, who wrote the James Bond movies?
Ian Fleming.
Or books, I'm sorry.
Ian Fleming,
yeah. Ian Fleming was involved in that. Well, I fell down a rabbit hole and I was reading, about all that. And, some of the characters that he met not characters, movie characters, but the individuals that he met while working with this British, secret service during the Second World War was the inspiration for James Bond. I want to say, man, check my facts, but I want to say Christopher Lee actually served in that group during the Second World War.
He did.
And was, and like, some real life adventures, and that's probably putting a little bit too much of a Hollywood spin on, fighting a war. But Christopher Lee, was pretty involved in that organization too, which I just find a fascinating component of that guy.
He has heavy metal albums he's released. He was one of the only cast members from the Lord of the Rings trilogy who's actually met Tolkien. The guy, you just keep reading about this guy and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
He is the most interesting man alive.
Indeed. Well,
not anymore.
I don't know.
Interesting man when he was alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't always drink beer.
Unless he
when I
faked
do.
his death. Which,
Yeah.
which given
that
everything else he
was
did, I wouldn't put it past him.
He's still out there somewhere.
Wow, I am still blown away by this Return of the Musketeers, man. Kim Cattrall was Justine de Winter.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. I don't remember when I saw that one, but I remember watching that movie.
C. Thomas Howell. Good God,
it's got a ton of people in it. So here's some crazy trivia for that one. If you want to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole on a different Musketeer movie, that 1989 Return of the Musketeers, the Richard Lester one we were just talking about. One of the actors in that, and I forget who he plays, is Roy Kinnear. It looks like he plays a character named Planchet.
Yeah.
Or Planchet. Okay,
probably Planchet, considering the French.
Yeah, so the trivia, the kind of sad trivia about this one, if you don't know Roy Kinnear, you may remember a little movie called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Indeed.
And from the 70s with Gene Wilder. And Roy Kinnear played Mr. Salt, Veruca Salt's dad.
Oh, yeah, I can see it in his face now that you say it.
Yep. So the Return of the Musketeers is the movie that killed him.
Oh God.
He did not want to ride a horse. And yet they said, nope, for this movie, you got to ride a horse. He's like, I don't want to ride a horse. I'm nervous about this. I don't want to do it. And so while filming this movie, they put him on a horse. He fell off the horse. He broke his pelvis. And then the next day he died of a heart attack in the hospital.
Oh, for the love of God.
Gosh. Oh, no.
So here's the lesson, boys and girls. If Mr. Salt tells you he doesn't want to ride a horse, don't make him ride a horse.
Right.
Or just train him to do it the right way.
Or just train him to do it the right way, yes.
Yeah, I suppose there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, Pat, if you want to get technical about it.
Or here's an idea. Why don't they build pelvises out of the same material the black box is made out of, right?
Well,
I don't know.
Pelvis rhymes with Elvis and Dems Elvis.
That's true.
Oh, hello, kitty.
Yeah, Doodle's coming up to say hello.
Hi,
John,
Doodle.
there's a lot to unpack in that last statement of yours.
I'm sure there is.
Build a pelvis out of the black box material.
Well, you know what they always say? Like, why don't you just build the plane out of the same material the black box is made out of, if that always survives?
I've heard that too.
That's what I'm saying. We can rebuild pelvises.
We have the technology.
We have the technology.
We can rebuild it.
We can rebuild them better, stronger, faster. I don't know. It's starting to sound like the title of the South Park movie.
Yeah, we're going down a weird rabbit hole. What movie are we talking about?
Anyway,
again?
Three Musketeers and Rebecca De Mornay.
De Mornay.
Yes. Yeah, no, okay, that was my weird little rabbit hole down for that movie. But yes, tons of people, like I said, Michael York, Oliver Reed, C. Thomas Howell, Christopher Lee, Richard Chamberlain.
So what is it about this material and these characters that seem to bring out big names? Like, it's almost Shakespearean in its...
I think it's because actors love that stuff.
Yeah, it must be.
It's a chance. I mean, it has to explain why, you constantly had Star Trek The Next Generation creating a holodeck so that we could have period piece clothing and, you could have...
I just figured that's because it was in the public domain and Star Trek was cheap.
Well, there's that too, but I feel like they do enjoy that stuff because then I feel like you have the opportunity to have Worf say, I am not a merry man.
And honestly, maybe that's why they can get the big groups of actors, because they're not paying anyone to write the
right.
They're paying someone to do an adaptation.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not a thing.
But then
I don't
feel
know.
like,
it's just interesting.
Well, and then I feel like
looking
you
back
had
at other Three Musketeers situations, it's the same. There's always
in the 70s, like 60s and 70s, there were a ton of adaptations of the Musketeer movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick an Alexander Dumbass story, and I'm sorry, my French is not very good. I'm sorry. I learned to read in the Shawshank Memorial Library.
That's right.
Yeah. Always got to watch your back.
Right.
No, I mean 60s and 70s, you had a ton of adaptations of Dumas' writing, and then I feel like jump forward from 93, and you had like Man in the Iron Mask. And then you started to have some other French adaptations too, and
I felt like this started another renaissance of
Mhm.
that. Oh, we can make some money off this guy again.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah, 'cause
Man
you-
in the Iron Mask,
Count of
Count
Monte
of Monte
Cristo.
Cristo.
Yeah.
Both Man in the Iron Mask might be the lesser of the three, but still good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you
Count
had a
of Monte
chance.
Cristo's so
You
good.
had a chance to have young Leo at the height of his popularity in a sword fighting movie.
Exactly.
And
Wonder if he
wasn't it?
learned
I feel
sword
like it's been forever since I've seen that. Didn't you have 2 Leonardo DiCaprios? Because didn't he play?
Oh
he
yeah,
play
he
like
would have had. Yeah. He would have had to because
he
that's
played
the
the king
bit.
and the Iron
Yeah,
Mask.
yeah.
And, yeah. Mhm. Which
See, like I have to think about that. I was like, yeah.
which I think if you account for the teen girl demographic at the time, which my sister would have been, I think the chance to have 2 Leos on screen simultaneously was probably enough to get butts in seats.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he could fill a movie theater all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
They could probably have him up there reading the phone book, and they'd be like, okay.
He was the king of the world at the time.
Oh no. No, you didn't.
I did. I'm sorry.
We got a few years for that, don't we?
For Titanic?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-ish.
Yeah, okay.
4.5, 5. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
I have recently seen it, so I'm not looking forward to spending 3 hours of my life on it again.
Okay.
You've recently seen it for the first time?
No.
Oh.
No.
It's like,
not in this house.
oh, okay.
I don't know if there's a term for it, but is there a term for being indirectly Shawshanked? Like someone else in your house was Shawshanked and therefore you were? We might have to work on that.
I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, because that's how that movie works for me. I am indirectly Shawshanked by that movie.
Maybe it's a different movie about a prison break. You were raising to Arizona.
Oh, there you go.
That doesn't work as a past tense verb, but
no, it invites too many questions.
Mm-hmm. How do you raising someone?
Yeah, that's sort of where I was going with that.
me fail English. That's impossible.
Raising, I mean, we could just go all day.
Mm-hmm. We teach grammar, kids.
No. We don't teach any.
Who is this we?
I do not think these words mean what you think they mean.
We've spent so much time talking about kings. I was thinking of like the royal we.
Oh yes. Oh.
That's a different we.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will go back and talk for a second about the All for Love, the Bryan Adams, Rod Stewart, and Sting, which also written by Mutt Lange, included in there, Mr. Twain, as he was also known for a stretch of time, I believe. Was he married to Shania
Mutt
Twain?
Lange. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And and I'm not saying anything we don't know, but my gosh, that guy had his hand in, think of every great band dating back to like the late 70s. And that guy had a hand in putting all that together.
Oh, yeah. Well, so we pretty much, in fact, not just this year, but as we're covering this one right now during this year, they had the big song in Don Juan DeMarco, which is another one that he helped co-write.
Yes.
And then we think about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He helped, I believe, helped co-write that one too. Everything I do it for you. So yes, basically, if you need a giant superstar blockbuster movie song that is going to primarily feature Bryan Adams with other people, then go talk to Mutt Lange. Go talk to Mutt Lange and Bryan Adams.
They'll set you up.
They are the
fantastic producer.
Yes.
Singer, guitarist. I mean, he did, I want to say Def Leppard's second, third, fourth, and fifth album, or helped produce it.
That sounds about right.
He did AC/DC. Yeah,
yep.
I think he did produced the Back in Black album.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked with a ton. I mean, Foreigner, Heart, The Cars, Huey Lewis, Billy Ocean. Yeah. Nickelback. Okay, let me interrupt because we're in the 90s right now for our podcast. Let me interrupt for just a brief moment and ask.
Welcome to the non-peace, Mr. Bonks. Sorry, I don't know why that just popped in my head, but
that was no, that's appropriate. That's par for the course in what we do here. That's our brand. You're on brand, Bo.
That's a first time for everything.
You know, wax on, wax off.
Hey now.
Was my favorite part of Death Wish.
I thought that was your favorite part of the Three Musketeers.
That too, yes. It was a low wax on, low wax off. So, quick question, related to the 90s, but unrelated to this. Bo, you work at a high school.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't really a question. I was just, I didn't mean to stump you.
I don't think it was stuff. It was just like
or you just didn't want to admit it.
Well, it's like this time of year, anybody that has to go to a school, like that's the response. Like, you work at a school, right? Ooh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. Is it just my children, or is there a resurgence of interest in Creed and Nickelback?
Yeah, in a weird way. I honestly, and I'm going to say this, and we're going to get letters, but I'm going to say it anyway.
That's fine.
I think it also might have to do with the resurgence of the mustache. Have you seen this?
No.
Like all the ball players are doing it now, like the Paul Skeens mustache.
Okay.
I don't know if that name means anything to use a picture for the Pirates.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they're correlative, but visually they seem to be.
Okay.
But yes, I would agree. Like it's what's old is new again. Everything cycles through in a weird way, and until recently, the kids had kind of gone back to like classics.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice, but now they've like come forward again into this weird era of music that I'm not sure I understand so much.
Yeah, we've got to, whenever the kids take over the music in the car, it's an interesting eclectic mix of, and particularly from Nora, it's an interesting mix of, I think The Cure, Fleetwood Mac, a little bit of Nickelback, a little bit of Creed, and some other like 70s, 80s, 90s stuff. Mostly actually flipping like 70s to 90s, not so much 80s. But
well,
yeah.
It's because there's no gravelly voices in the 80s. It's all electronic and
that's true, yeah.
And weird.
Wait. Dudes all sounded like ladies.
Well, dude looks like a lady.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting the way they draw those lines between those. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. I didn't know if it was
I have noticed more Creed in the playlists than I would ever have expected from this generation.
Because my kids put it on at one point and they're like, Dad, have you ever heard of this? I was like, when do you think I was alive?
Have I ever heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're trying to decide, like, if I say yes, does that ruin the music for them or does it make me cool?
Right.
Which is going to happen because it could go either way.
In my day, when somebody said, look at this photograph, we weren't holding up a phone. Okay. We were actually holding up a photograph.
In my day.
My
kids, humans had just developed arms. So that's when we sang with arms wide open. It was because we just got them.
My kids get so tired because they try to show me stuff on the screens. And they're like, hey, Dad, I got to show you this video. I got to show you this pic. I'm like, you know what? No. If I want to share this with you, tell me about it. And they get really mad. I think it's one of my beginnings of old man thing. Hey, man, just don't show me a screen right now. I want you to tell me all about it. Tell me why it's funny. Repeat it. Use it. Just tell me. And they all get like, Dad,
Can they at least, if they do decide to give in and tell you, do they at least describe it in a way that you understand what they're saying?
I think so, yeah, because it'll eventually wear down to the point that they'll explain it to me.
Because I have this problem where I will ask someone to explain it to me. and they can't. Like, they've gotten to the point where the words can't come out of their mouth in a coherent way because they just want to show you.
Right.
And they don't know how to express why they like it or why it's funny. They just know it is.
Yeah.
And it boggles the mind. Like, come on.
It's like
You
listening
should
to
be able to at least,
It's like listening to a toddler try to recount a story.
Yes.
It's like, but so then Susie was, and she was then they were at the park and the thing with and they had this thing where
Billy found a quarter yesterday.
They found a quarter and then there was the slide, and on the slide there was this thing but then Tommy, he has a football and he brought his football and we were going to play.
I'm hungry.
And can I have some goldfish? Yeah, it's a little bit like that sometimes.
It is. It's weird. It's like they don't have and I can't decide, do they not have the vocabulary to express it? Do they really not, or are they just too lazy and don't want to? I choose to believe they don't want to, not that they don't have the vocabulary, but more and more I wonder.
It's like trying to describe a color you've never seen before, Bo.
Oh, that's pretty deep right there.
I don't. Well, that's what we do here. That's also on brand for our podcast. So deep that we're drowning.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's swing back for just a moment to Three Musketeers before we head into our Three Muska questions. I made it up. Okay.
What?
That's where we're at. I don't
what
know.
even is that?
I tried to use the words I can't even use my words. I tried to use my words to describe it, Bo, and that's the best I could do.
Okay.
I didn't have the vocabulary, so I just made up a word.
Well done.
Thank you. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here anymore. Final thoughts before we go into the Three Muska questions, which I'm going to keep using because
now I've called attention to it, and now you don't have a choice.
Because darn it, it's either that or call her Rebecca De Mornay again.
Mornay.
Oh boy.
That one you're going to get me on all the time.
I know. I'm just going to continue to use that from now on. It's the call and response is basically what it is. Awesome movie. Love it. Bo, I'm glad you were here this time to be able to talk with us about it.
Me too. This is a fantastic film, and I love it. I can watch it whenever. I can come in whenever.
Mm-hmm.
If it's on, you just turn it on and you go.
Like, I don't know, if you're in a bad mood, maybe go watch this movie, or just if you just want some fun.
Yeah.
If you've had a crappy day and you just need to watch something fun, go watch this movie.
Agreed.
All right.
Yes. Me.
As the French say, it is time for trois questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, question number 1. Build your Three Musketeers dream cast from current actors. Who plays each of the 4 heroes, and who plays Cardinal Richelieu?
This is challenging. I dropped down and I started to actually research this question. And it's interesting because I was looking at actors and I'm like, are they too old? Are they too old? And it was like, okay, yeah, that might be a little bit old to play the role, but they can always play it. They can play younger, right?
Well, which is funny because in some of the 1970s Musketeer movies, they're not spring chickens.
Well, that's kind of the concept that I was working around. And then I went back and looked at the original, but the actors in this one.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting considering what their ages were. And then some of the ones that I was looking at for today and what their ages were. And then I looked at who played D'Artagnan.
Chris O'Donnell.
I looked at Chris O'Donnell's age, and he wasn't really that far off those guys' ages.
No, he really wasn't.
No, yeah.
So
it's kind of funny when you think about it, but
Yeah, and I get it. Like different, like you can play different
Totally.
ages, and I think like you can play different
Totally.
ages, and I think he did a really great job of bringing that like young kid vibe. But yeah, it's interesting just to see what everyone's actual age is and how that fits in with the characters and what their ages are supposed to be.
So one of the things I always think about if I'm dream casting, I always want to think about like who from this movie could you bring back in a different role and it still be cool?
Mm-hmm.
So like Chris O'Donnell is the example I would use because he plays the younger character here. Like, what's his niche as an older man? Is he Athos? The tortured soul, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now which way I played Athos?
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer, okay.
And then this is total me being a Star Trek fan. Do you get a Patrick Stewart to do something? Not sure what. Maybe he's Cardinal Richelieu. I don't
Cardinal
know.
Richelieu.
Blue, white, and red.
Yes. All for one and more for me. I'm tired of this charade.
Metaphor.
Yes. Oh, Cardinal, you broke your little ships.
Gosh.
Anyway.
You know what? In the last recording, we talked a little bit about Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He would be an interesting Cardinal Richelieu for sure.
I think he'd be amazing.
You know, if we're thinking big names, because you know, do you try to get a Hemsworth? Does it matter which one? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
That's your Charlie Sheen Aramis, maybe.
Yeah.
Your womanizing priest. Let's see. Who is your Porthos?
The Rock.
Done.
There you go.
Done. De Mornay. Countess de Winter. Oh, well, not to double cast again, but
The Rock.
there you go.
That
I was
would be
thinking
a choice.
you get Gabrielle Anwar to come back and be the Countess de Winter.
Oh, that's true.
And then who do we have left? We need a good Rochefort. A good Rochefort to play aside a Downey Jr.
Michael Wincott. Just have him come back again.
I get older. I get older, and
yeah. The thing about these Musketeers, I get older, but they stay the same age.
Same age.
Oh, right.
Benedict Cumberbatch. Or Cumberbatch.
That'd be good.
Or Cumberland, or however you say his last name.
He'd be good in either of those roles. Yeah. He'd be really good.
Now I want to see Matthew McConaughey play Rochefort.
There you go.
Yeah.
McConaughey, now he could be your Aramis too.
That's true. Yeah.
All right.
All for one. All for one. All for one. All for one.
Michael B. Jordan would be good as one of the Musketeers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think. I don't. I mean, I think he'd be
do
good at whatever
Athos
he did.
too.
So I went a slightly different route, and as I tend to, and
all the Musketeers were killed before the credits rolled, right?
Yes, because even when you win, you lose, and that's how I like.
Right.
I like my Musketeers dead.
Jumping back to the movie that we recorded earlier in the night, and you said that's kind of a win, you win, you lose. I said that's kind of how I felt watching the movie. Was that I just didn't make it past the credits.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't even feel like you were winning.
No.
Yeah, it was a constant losing from the get-go.
Yes.
So the slightly different route I took was I went with, for at least a third or half of the names that I chose. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with authentically French actors.
Oh.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go this route. And even if they're not completely French, then at the very least they are somewhat French or have French sounding names. So
Okay.
my D'Artagnan, because he's in everything now, was Timothée Chalamet.
Ah.
Okay.
I had as Athos, I had the actor, and I'm going to apologize for this, Pat, because he's also one of the main actors in one of your least favorite movies, Vincent Cassel.
I know the name, but what am I?
Yeah, he was in Ocean's 12. He's been in a bunch of like Hollywood movies. The movie that you do not enjoy that he was in was Irreversible.
What was that movie?
That was the one where Monica Bellucci gets, let's just say, mistreated.
Oh, see, I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, you haven't? Don't see it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes. I say mistreated. That's like the mildest way I can put what happens.
Yeah.
And from what I recall, the movie, like the thing about the movie is the knight in question plays backwards. Like the events of the movie are told backwards in time.
What was he in? You mentioned a movie. What was he in? He was in another movie, a kind of a more famous one too.
He was in Ocean's 12.
Who is he? Who did he play?
In Ocean's 12, he was also in Black Swan. I don't know if any of you guys saw that one. And actually, he was, who did he play? I want to say he actually played Athos in a French version of the Three Musketeers. I have not seen it, but I did, when I looked this up, I like picked him, and then I went and looked, and I was like, oh, he actually has played Athos. That's weird. What else was he in? Let's see. He was in the Jason Bourne movie, the one from 2016. Who did he play in Ocean's 12? Ocean's 13, Ocean's 12. He was Francois Toulour.
Okay, I know who he is.
Yeah. He was in Brotherhood of the Wolf.
As was Monica.
Uh-huh. Yep. He was in Elizabeth, the movie about Elizabeth I. So yeah, been a lot of other French movies too. So I had him as my Athos. For Porthos, I had a French actor named Jean Dujardin. And he was in The Artist, The Wolf of Wall Street. He's been a bunch of French movies as well. He was in the French version of The French Connection.
Okay.
From a few years ago. So I had him as my Porthos because he started, as I was reading up on him, he started as a stand-up comedian. So I figured he could handle the comedy part of it. As Aramis, I took a slightly different turn, and he's not French, but this is probably recency bias because it's such a good show, and I would just like to see him in more things. For Aramis, I picked Diego Luna from Andor and Rogue One.
He was on my list.
Was he on yours?
He was on my list.
And then Cardinal Richelieu, because I think he can play such a good, he can play somebody who is very likable and charming and charismatic, but he can also play he can turn into a super creepy, super evil villain. I picked David Tennant, who was one of the doctors from Doctor Who.
Yes.
But he was also a nasty, nasty villain in the Jessica Jones Marvel series.
And he was the show on Amazon. He was the Dark Angel.
Show on Amazon. Did they do
Give me a minute.
Did they do a version of Fright Night?
No. Hold on.
He was also in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
He was the voice of the droid. Good Omens.
That's it.
Okay. I still haven't watched that.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay. But yeah, I feel like he could do a good Cardinal Richelieu.
The biggest problem with that is that for the second season, Crowley, by the way, was the name I couldn't come up with.
Oh, okay.
For the second season, Neil Gaiman wasn't involved because of all of the stuff. Which is, I mean, I get it, but you definitely could tell he wasn't involved.
Nah.
But
all right, so that's my list. All right, Timothée Chalamet, Vincent Cassel, Jean Dujardin, Diego Luna, and David Tennant.
Nice.
If I gotta pick, I didn't have like the De Mornay character on there.
De Mornay.
Thank you. But I'm gonna pick somebody with a French sounding name to be Milady de Winter, and that would be Charlize Theron.
There you go.
Yeah.
That Charlize Theron girl.
Mm-hmm. In that, when you pronounce it American.
I just did a rewatch of Fury Road.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, she would be incredible.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Reindeer games. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, buddy.
Bo knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, buddy. There's not really more to be said at that point.
It's Mornay, Bo. Mornay. Not Mornay to be said. Mm-hmm. Pat, did you give your list, or were you kind of piggybacking off of Bo's?
I was piggybacking. It's funny, the crossover, and it might be the recency bias, but that
you said you had Diego Luna on yours too.
I had Diego Luna.
Okay.
I think Diego Luna. I mentioned Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think he's just so good, and obviously I haven't seen all the different versions of the Musketeers, so like this one is kind of informing what I think, and this one, did it have more or less humor than the other ones, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's my question, and so I might be picking characters like, hey, can they handle the comedic innuendo and so forth?
Mm-hmm. I think when you look at some of the 70s Musketeer, and some a little more so than others, but I think they had a good mixture of like the adventure, the humor. So you still had, I'm trying to, it's been a long time since I've seen some of those, but I do feel like there was just kind of like that, almost just like that fun-loving attitude to the whole thing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, which one was the one that was Jack Bauer? Who was
Athos?
Which Athos? And so I would say like Diego Luna would be great. I think Michael B. Jordan would be great in that area. I think for Porthos, I mentioned The Rock. I think he would absolutely kill it. I could see Chris Hemsworth as who was the Charlie Sheen one?
Aramis.
Aramis, I could see him as Aramis.
I almost at one point on my list for Porthos, just the kind of like larger than life personality, the charisma, the comedy part of it, I almost went with Jason Momoa.
Oh, sure.
See, how is his name off? Yeah, he would be great. He'd be so good. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers the list. I really, for the Count Richelieu, was it Richelieu?
Yeah.
Not Count.
Cardinal, yeah.
Cardinal, yeah, not Count. Cardinal Richelieu. I think we had the same one. Bo and I were right. Bo, the guy you mentioned, I was like, yep, that was it. Who did you mention?
We had a couple. Robert Downey Jr., Patrick Stewart.
Yep, that was it. Robert Downey Jr. Yes. I think that would have been my guy for him. Yeah, are there any other characters I didn't throw a bunch of names at? Oh, the D'Artagnan. I like Timothy Chalamet. Yeah,
that's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And he's younger, right? Like, right. I mean,
or at least he seems younger. Yeah.
Well, I say he looks younger. The rest of it, who cares?
Right. Well, and that was as I was checking the ages and all that kind of stuff, which obviously only matters to a point. But like, I feel like Diego Luna plays in like the Andor series. He typically is, playing someone that's maybe a little bit younger. Not kid, but younger. And like, he's well, let's just say he's close to my age and older than you guys. So that piece is always interesting to me. And then it's funny because as I'm starting to cast it, I kind of I'm kind of going down the list of actors that, oh my gosh, I'm like recasting the Marvel movies. And then I realize, 80% of Hollywood has been in a Marvel movie in some way, shape, or form in the last 2.5 decades.
Yeah, we haven't found a place in this for Paul Rudd yet. You think we can?
Porthos.
Yeah. Paul Rudd. I mean,
you were named after the dog.
Ryan Reynolds would be an interesting guy to put in there.
The MCU is like the Village Bicycle.
Yeah. Well, but what I would like to see is, I mean, I would like to see Ryan Reynolds in there, but not playing Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to see Deadpool in here. I'd like to see Ryan Reynolds, you know, kind of like, but different.
So
you
you're
know,
doing.
like, we
So
know he
here's what I think you're doing. You're doing the MCU version of this, which means D'Artagnan is played by Tom Holland, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Athos is played by Hugh Jackman. Porthos is played by Paul Rudd, and Aramis is played by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
that'd work.
Yeah.
And Cardinal Richelieu is played by Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. I'm sticking with the Rock though, with Porthos.
All right. Okay. I'll give you that.
The MCU would be more better with The Rock.
Everything is more better with the Rock. Heck, Deep Voyager was better with the Rock. So, you know,
we haven't fit David Hasselhoff in here yet, but we can find a way.
we have not. I really, really like the Timothy Chalamet.
I haven't figured out how to get Vin Diesel in there yet, have we?
All I can remember is the line from the Triple X trailer. Oh, the things I'm going to do for my country.
Oh, no, he's just going to go in there and say, I am Groot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Isn't that the whole...
Actually, it would be Je suis Groot.
That's right, Je suis.
Easiest dubbing of a movie ever.
Sebastian Stan as Rochefort.
Oh, there you go. That'd be good.
That's Bionic Arm dude.
That's Bucky.
Winter Soldier.
Yep.
All right. Question number 2. What kind of real, not fictional, sword do you choose to fight with in a duel?
A katana.
Okay. I kind of figured you would probably go that route.
So I'm afraid of curved blades.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I would understand how to use it properly.
Well,
keep the pointy side out.
You swing it
Well,
until you cut somebody.
I love the look of a two-handed sword, but those things were heavy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the naval cutlass would have to be my choice, because I feel like it's the only thing I could handle effectively and not, cut my own arm off.
Mm-hmm.
Which even then I still might. John, what did you pick?
Well, see, I would like to say, like one of the Scottish claymores, but like you said, those things are huge and very heavy. The other one that I think is kind of fun, just the design of it is kind of fun, is the what's called the basket hilt broadsword.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's got like the hand guard. So, because I really don't want to get my hands chopped off.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the look of the broadswords, the claymores, the broadswords, the basket hilted ones. I think are just kind of cool because it's got some design work and you can kind of customize the hilt part for you. So I might go that route. I mean, I do feel like I have like a model of a sword. It's only a model. I do have one hanging up here in the podcasting area, and that one's I'd say that's probably kind of like a model of a two-handed Scottish claymore. But I'll go because of the look of them. I'll go with the single-handed basket hilts.
Right on.
All right, and finally, Three Musketeers is also a candy bar. Hey guys, you remember when Three Musketeers was a candy bar?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
It's awesome. What's your go-to candy bar?
How loose are we saying candy bar? Like, are we talking candy bar? Are we talking
it's Caddyshack and you're going to throw it in the pool and then eat it afterwards?
Well, I'm just wondering, like, does a Reese cup count? Like, how?
I'll allow it.
You know what I mean? Or are you looking for candy? Because the answer could change depending on the restrictions.
That's true.
I don't care. I just want to know.
I'll allow variations.
Okay.
We've never been picky on this podcast, so.
Almost makes it harder. Favorite candy bar.
Mine's fairly easy. As a kid, it would have been Butterfinger. As an
Mm.
adult, it's either an Almond Joy or a Payday.
Really?
Yeah.
Payday. Wow, I don't hear that much anymore.
And every once in a while, they have I have tried, and they're not too bad. I think I just like the normal Paydays. They've done the chocolate covered Payday recently.
Ooh,
and
okay.
that one's okay. I think I just like the regular. And it actually Almond Joy. I can go Almond Joy or Mounds. It's really just the chocolate and the coconut. It doesn't really have to have anything else with it.
Okay.
So I can go either of those variations.
Hmm.
So if you had
As a
asked me as a
kid-
child, it would have been Butterfinger. But yeah, I think those others.
As a kid, it would have been Nestle Crunch.
Okay.
Up, down, and sideways. I blame shrinkflation on my loss of love for the Nestle Crunch bar.
Okay.
As a kid, I felt like the crunch factor was higher.
Yes.
And when I have it now, I just a chocolate bar with some crunchy stuff, maybe kind of sort of in there. I don't know if that's just me getting older or them actually changing how they made the darn things.
Maybe your jaws are just more powerful.
Anything is possible, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Hey.
I was not sure where to go with that. I got to be honest. But so as a kid, I would have said Nestle Crunch hands down. Now it's actually a more difficult thing. I am actually going to be very complicated with it in a way because it's a Reese bar. But have you had where it's a Reese peanut butter and chocolate, but it is in a segmented bar? Like it's a big chunky candy bar.
I've heard of such things.
And they're cut into little squares, almost like a Hershey bar, but it's that.
Okay.
And they make a king size one.
Oh.
Because if you're going to do it, go big or go home.
That's true.
And so it's And before that bar, that is my favorite. And I can be talked into other peanut butter and chocolate blends. Like I'm not stuck with Reese cups, like peanut butter M&Ms or Reese's Pieces, even like. But it's the peanut butter and the chocolate that I'm going for.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on
Something
that.
about it. I don't know. It just works.
I definitely hear you on that.
I have to do a quick amendment to mine because I just realized there was one that I was absolutely obsessed with as a child, and I don't recall exactly what brand it was, but when we lived over in the UK, that's when I got introduced to white chocolate. And that was my drug of choice. Was if I walked from school down to the shop that was in town. There was a shop that was not too far away from the newsstand where they sold Aliens and Batman comic books. And so depending on what week it was, I might go pick up my Aliens comic, and then a few shops down, I'd go pick up my king size white chocolate bar. And then I would just, on the way walking home, I would enjoy my king size white chocolate candy bar and read my Aliens comic.
Yeah.
And,
there you go.
And everything was right with the world.
Yeah.
And Newt was dead because that's how everything's right with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, I'm kidding. I'm just antagonizing people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because that could be the subtitle for that movie. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Alien 3, we're just here to antagonize you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Pat? What's your favorite candy bar?
I like where Bo's going with the chocolate and peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to top that. God, it's hard to top that stuff. That's good. I like mint. And actually, Hamby found these bars, and they they're advertised as protein bars and all that kind of thing. But I mean, like we start the debate on that whole deal and all that. But man, I'll tell you, the mint ones, they sure hit the spot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And those things are pretty addicting. It's what are they? Robert Irvine. Robert Irvine's Crunch bars or Fit Crunch bars or whatever. Anyways, the mint ones are so good. And
you like me a York peppermint patty. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm. There it is. John, I love what you're talking about with the coconut, with the almond joy and the mounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? God, I love the taste of coconut. That's really good. Going away from candy bars, like the chocolate covered raisins are really good.
Mm-hmm.
The traditional M&Ms, can eat my way to those things without even coming up for air. As far as a bar, I think I already listed like 12. Yeah. I guess the only other thing I'd say is like any of those chocolates that combine like spice with chocolate. I remember my mom had found these chocolates that it was like very, very, very dark chocolate with sea salt,
Mm-hmm.
and very, very, very dark chocolate with spicy chili peppers in them.
Oh.
And it was quite good. It was so good when it hits your lips,
Mm-hmm.
as Will Ferrell said.
So I'm going to, and I guess, give a little bit of free advertising here, but there is a brand of chocolate bar called Chocolove.
Chocolove.
And they have a ton of different types of flavors, and that is because they are all gluten-free. That tends to be what we purchase in our house from time to time. The other fun thing is when you open each one up on the inside of the wrapper, it has a poem on the inside of each one.
Cool.
So you get something to read along with your chocolate. But my wife's favorite flavor of those is the dark chocolate with peppermint.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And they also have a lot of different varieties of like chocolate filled with mint cream, or they have the almonds and sea salt, or just a ton of different. And I want to say I saw one time. I don't know. I don't think I've run into the chocolate that has like spice kind of mixed into it. But I feel like if there was any chocolate bar company that would probably do that, like they might have one, because they have some that are like extreme dark chocolate. And
yeah,
what was some of the other one? Like raspberries, Hawaiian sea salt, toffee and almonds, salted caramel, anything you could possibly think of. They tend to have a variety of those.
Right.
And they're all good.
Right.
All right. Well, now we're all
That's the
hungry.
thing, man.
If there were only any stores that were open right now that had candy bars.
Right?
Yes.
I say that, wondering if there's any upstairs. Actually, I might have a white chocolate bar upstairs. All right. I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, this has been All for One and One for All. And this has been the Three Musketeers. Really, really fun to revisit this one, even though we just touched on it a couple of years ago, but I'll rewatch this anytime anybody wants to rewatch it. Great movie. And then that kind of made me, as we were talking about it, it made me go back and, just as you were saying, like look at the list of what were some of the older Musketeer movies. And I would love to go back and rewatch that Return of the Musketeers again. Haven't seen that since I was a kid. And now just looking at that cast again, like I need to go rewatch that one because I don't remember it. But
yeah, that looks really good.
I remember
mean,
it being fun. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, month of May, this is Boys and Girls Month. Our Patreon was After Hours from 85. Patreon short Thunderbolts from 2025. We've done Tommy Boy, Showgirls. This one was Three Musketeers. And I don't know, what you going to do next time? Bad Boys. Bad Boys. What you going to do?
When they come for you.
So we'll be coming for you next week when we do our episode on Bad Boys. And thank you to the Bad Boys here, Pat and Bo.
Thank you, John.
All right. Everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies. Go rewatch The Three Musketeers and any variation of it that you can find. And we'll see you back here next time.
Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen.